What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TWA Motorsports, and today we're starting up in the top garage. I know it's really echoey in here, but guys, it is raining, it's nasty. I don't want to do this in my shop because I don't want any overspray on it. But in the last video on the GMC Sierra, we talked about the carpet. And so you guys saw me clean it all out with a power washer up here. And I just wasn't ultimately happy with the way it turned out. So, I mean, it looks better, but it's not up to snuff. Here's the problem though. Look, there's lots of aftermarket carpets out there, and you guys have seen me use that in on the crew cabs Silverado that I had. I put a new carpet kit in, and while it looked okay, here's what I don't love about it. So when you do that, the back carpet, they don't make an exact match for the carpet. So when you do that, the door panel, like on the bottom of these door panels on this truck, it would be a different color. And so would the back carpet, and that just drives me nuts. And now look, you can buy extra from them and cover those areas, but I just didn't want to go to that because this carpet ultimately doesn't have any burn holes from like cigarette burns or anything like that. It's in pretty good shape other than the fact that it's stained. And so here's what I decided to do. We're gonna give it a try because I haven't done this in a long time. I used to do this a lot because, well, I was just a poor kid growing up, and this is kind of the way you fix things. I just couldn't afford to buy new carpet. So I have some SEM. Now look at this, guys. This is the exact color match for these trucks. So the 03 to 07 Classic, 17223 is the gray color, the dark gray color. Now, here's the problem. I got one can. I don't think that's gonna be enough. I have another can on order, but this stuff is super scarce. It's really hard to get this 17223. I don't know, guys, I'll try to link it down below, but all the things that I found have been sold out. So eBay, Amazon, even from SEM Direct. So I don't know. The other can I got, I just have a buddy that works for a local parts store, and he was able to get this one. We test sprayed it out. It matches. So we're gonna give it a shot. So here's how we're gonna start. Obviously the carpet's dry now. I've went over it with the vacuum that you see over there. Kind of got this laid out in the middle of my garage here, but I'm going to go through and I'm gonna use a stiff bristled brush like this right here, and I'm gonna brush it all the same direction. And then we're gonna put a light coat on this, and I don't know how far we're gonna go. You can see that I tested some of the stuff from my the 99 to 02. I tested right there. That's why it's a little darker. And the coverage looks pretty good, and it's not making the carpet real matty. So that's that's kind of the reason that I don't like to do this, is anytime you paint something, it gets like rough, and I don't like that. So I'm hoping that if we brush it, we put light coats on, we brush it again, I think, guys, we'll be able to make this happen. But I'm gonna set you up over here on the tripod. I'm gonna time lapse a majority of this so you don't have to watch me spray. I'm not taping anything off, so the little pad there, I'm gonna spray right over the top of it. Everything's clean. Let's see what we can do. Now, because I only have one can right now, I'm gonna start in the areas that show. I'm gonna try to go all the same direction. And then make sure you shake this up. Make sure the temperature's, somewhat around 60 degrees. That's about what it is here in my garage. And we're just gonna do light coats here. So like I said, make sure that you shake it up really well. It looks a little better. That was kind of two light coats. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let it set for about, 5 minutes. I'm gonna brush it, trying to go the opposite direction that I went before, and then we'll put another coat on. At this point, guys, done with the can. Used an entire can on this. And look, while it does look better, it's not perfect, but I think I can live with this for now. The areas that were really dark stained, they're better. It was starting to cover, like you can probably see some of that. But ultimately the areas that were kind of faded, like on the transmission tunnel there, and you know, kind of around the kick panels, or the where the floor mats go, that looks a lot better. So I really think, guys, look, you're not trying to paint this, you're trying to dye it. So it's really like you're fogging it on, and then you're moving the carpets, the fibers around, and you're fogging it on again, and so on and so forth. So if you notice that I brushed this way, sprayed, brushed the other way, sprayed, brushed this way, sprayed, brushed this way, sprayed, and so on and so forth. So I kept doing that, going another direction, brushing it between each coat. So at this point, I'm gonna call this good. I'm not gonna wait for the other can to come in, because I think we're getting to the point where it's gonna start to get like chunky. And I mean, ultimately down the road, guys, maybe we replace the carpet, but I wanted to make it look a little nicer for now, and it definitely does. Let's take a look at what I have been doing off camera. So I used my little Spot Bot cleaner. Guys, I went over the seats. I actually pulled some dirt up. You can see a little bit of stains there in the center. I probably could go over it a couple more times, and I may do that down the road, but I went over all the seats, all the seat tracks, and did that on this and the center console. It was nasty, all the buildup and junk there. So I did that. And then you can see I've got my grinder out, because here's what happened. I actually found an amplifier used, and guys, man, that is the way to buy it. But you can see I've got everything laid back down. I also went over this carpet a little bit with my extractor. There was a couple stains in this back wall. I didn't show you guys that. You've seen me do that before. And then I hit the bottom of the doors, because they had a couple stains on them as well. So I did a lot of cleaning off camera, but you could see I've kind of laid the amp in there. I think kind of that area is where I want it to be. But at this point, I'm gonna go grab the carpet, and we're gonna get it back into place, and then we're gonna kind of try to figure out where we want the amplifier. So in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I'm gonna be putting some treatment and stuff on the plastic pieces, like the kick panels, the panels that go up the back, and so on and so forth. So I'll kind of cut in and out and show you guys as I'm going. And I don't know, as far as amplifier placement, if that's where I want it. I know it's gonna be on that side, but we're just gonna have to figure that out. But I did cut this stud off here. You can see I cut that off so we could get a sub box to set there. But either way, we're gonna grab the carpet and put it back in place. I'm gonna leave the wiring for the amp under the carpet until I kind of figure out where I need to be. So you can see I've got the carpet back in now, and man, does it look a lot better. Definitely looks a lot better. You can barely see those stains, you know, those ones I had trouble covering up. There was a few back here, and then one over there where like the jack is. But I put the console on, and guys, look, at some point I may upgrade to either an NBS console, or I'd like to try like the newest body style, like the 14 up. But I haven't been able to find one, and they don't really match. So for now, I'm gonna leave what I've got. But I set that in there to kind of help, you know, squish this back down. It seems to be pretty close to the same spot it was. I mean, you know, we got it all wet, and it lost a little bit of its shape, but it won't take long to get back to normal. I'm gonna go ahead and put my 13 down in there on the dash. So with the dash harness, and of course my light went out because we're timed out, but we'll get that in place. And then, like I said, I'm gonna try to just gradually go through and clean and put some chemical guys treatment on each one of these panels, starting with these on this side, those on that side. And then I really need to figure out my wiring before I put the pillars back in. Now I can put this one back in on this side, but the one on that side really needs to go in after I kind of negotiate where I want my wiring. I may even put my sub in here, because for now I'm just gonna run a single sub. That Kicker Elf, it's like a thin 10 square that you see up there. I tried it in my crew cab, and I didn't love it. I like the JLs better, but we're gonna use that since we've got it. So I may set that in there too, just to kind of get placement ideas. I think I'm gonna put it in the middle, but you got, like I said, I'll cut in and out and show you guys the progress. Been doing some test fitting with the seat. You can see it sitting there, trying to figure out the best placement for the amplifier. So guys, I am not a drill into a truck guy. So back in the day when I was 16, heck yeah, I'd have just drilled some holes in that back panel and let it sit there. But you can see I got the sub in there.
And I got a couple of the kick panels on, that panel under the dash. I tested it here. The seat rubs it when it's going back and forth. Now this is a Rockford amp. I'm actually kind of bummed. I should be putting this amp in the green truck, to be real honest with you. But guys, here's where I test fitted it, and it worked the best setting right here. So the seat doesn't hit it. I'm going to use, I know a lot of people have been, it's real controversial on the green truck. I didn't fasten my amp down, but it's under the seat. So I'm gonna put a little bit of Velcro on the back side of this to help keep it down. But the really cool thing is I can run all of my wires out of this stock location. So I don't have to cut any of the carpet. I can always take this out if I want to. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that really quick off camera. I'm gonna run all my wires through these openings right here. I'm gonna get them where they need to go, trim them to fit, put some speaker leads in, run those back up this little spot and into the sub box before I go any further with putting any more panels in. I wanna keep the jack, even though I'm not gonna be keeping the original crowbar set. I'll probably keep it in the truck, maybe under the other seat. But you know, you never know when you're gonna need a jack. Honestly, guys, I don't have a spare on this truck, so it probably doesn't matter, but I don't know. That kind of covers up that stain spot anyway. So either way, that's my plan. So I'll show you guys once I get this all fitted where I want it, and with the, go ahead and put the Velcro on the bottom, get these wires ran, and then I'll cut in and show you guys before I set the seat on it. Got the panels in. You can see the panels that we needed to put in to kind of finish holding up the headliner. Got those guys in. I got them all cleaned up, got the pieces in the front, the side, the bottom. Everything is hooked up on the amplifier, other than obviously we haven't hooked up the power under the hood, but I'm loving the way it's looking. Now you can see I've got some fuzz and whatnot. Got the amp kind of Velcroed down. I don't know if that's holding it a ton, but we've got it. Got the wire ran back to the sub there. I kind of went underneath and kind of traced that. But the only piece that we have left is we need to put that piece along the back. But guys, here's what I will tell you. In my green truck, since I put the exhaust on, this piece right here rattles. Now, whether it's this or the little pieces you take out for the child seat, you can see I've got one up there in the corner and one here. I am going to clean this back off, and I'm gonna randomly put some pieces of my kill mat on this, and then I'm gonna put a small piece on those before I clip this back in place. Now, I noticed on this truck, it's got pretty loud exhaust as well. So I cleaned this panel off, and I'm using just super clean to clean it off, but then I'm using that Chemical Guys Silk Shine as a protectant after I get done. But like I said, I'm gonna put a couple pieces of that kill mat on here, see if we can quiet that down. If that works, and I think it probably will, we're gonna do it on the green truck at some point as well. So either way, I'll show you guys once I get some pieces. It doesn't have to be uniform, doesn't have to even be neat looking. We just wanna put a few pieces on there to maybe kill that rattling noise. This is what I'm talking about, guys. So you can see that I've just sporadically put pieces in there. I think I used 2 sheets to do this, and then you can see I put some on this as well. So I'm hoping that cuts down on the rattling. It may not, but hey, we'll give it a shot. So now I'm gonna clean the other side of this. I haven't had an opportunity to do that yet. I need to clean this up really well. And I'm gonna snap that guy back in place, and we'll take a look at the inside of this thing again. We've got it installed. Man, it's looking good. All right, so I did vacuum it. The crazy side of me vacuumed this probably a couple times. So now I'm gonna go ahead and set the seats into place, plug them back in, guys, and get them ran down. And man, we're getting close to finishing this up. The only thing we'll have left after that, you know, make sure you get your stuff plugged in, is we need to get back under the hood and figure out how we're gonna hook up the amplifier to get power to the sub. We've got everything else hooked up. We got the radio, obviously, RCAs, amp to speaker, amp turn on, you name it. So let me get the seats set back in here and bolted back down, and we'll go back under the hood. Definitely looking better, guys. So anyway, got that all together. You can see the sub fits in there nicely. It's not hitting anything. And actually, guys, you could put 2 of those in here if you wanted to, and they would set on that panel. I don't know, maybe 2 of them would hammer pretty good. You know, I've seen videos of these things doing a pretty good job, but like I said, they don't do as good as the JL. So anyway, like I said, you could push it over, kind of center them with the console, and you could get 2 of those subs in there, and we'll just see how it works. But anyway, let's get under the hood, get some power to this thing so we can actually see if it works. So here's kind of my thinking here. Originally I was gonna go down here, but the positive's on this side. And so guys, I think I'm gonna do it similar to the way I did my green truck. So I went ahead and cut where the fuse goes here. I'm gonna trim this up and go ahead and get it where it needs to be, but I'm gonna come in this way. Eventually I'm gonna put the fuse there. And for now though, I'm gonna do it with some zip ties. And the only reason is because I'm gonna be needing to move that box when we do the electric fan install down the road. And so because of that, I don't wanna permanently mount it, but essentially you need to be 2 foot or less away. Kicker's really good about marking it. You can see they marked where the fuse needs to go. So that's where we're gonna put it. And so I'm just gonna kind of probably zip tie most of this up for now. I also need to grab power here. I need one of those removable caps like you guys have seen me install in the past. Got to have one of those here in order to get power because it won't fit under the stock piece here. So I'll show you guys here in a second, kind of once I get the wire trimmed up, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm still gonna have to get one, but this is what I'm talking about. So you can see it has a threaded end that goes in it. There's a couple different versions of this. I'll list in the description down below, but we're gonna do this just to test it. I'm gonna grab a new one. I'm gonna order one and have it in a couple days, but this will work for now. This is really, I just found something that fit. I'm assuming that's why that was in my extra bolt bin, is I didn't have the top. It's ugly, but we got her hooked up. We're gonna give it a shot here and see, hopefully if our amp turns on. Now, actually guys, before we test it, it's the next night, I got the correct piece. This connection wasn't making a good connection. The amp was flipping on and off. I was gonna show you guys, but I don't wanna risk screwing something up. So I got the correct piece. The center piece unscrews. I'll list this in the description as well. You guys have seen me use that several times. But I want to get that replaced. I want to get this stuff zip tied in place for now because like I said, down the road we're going to do electric fans. I don't want to have this permanently mounted yet. As far as the backup camera stuff, I'm going to zip tie it up as well, and you guys are going to see why I'm waiting on it in the video, the next video on this truck. It'll make sense why we're waiting. And then aside from that, so I'm gonna get this hooked up. Before we go in and listen to the radio, I am going to go ahead and go over the top one more time with my buffer. I didn't ever go over it with the M205, and I wasn't able to get in that area around the third brake light. I didn't take that out when we originally did the top. So I'm gonna do that. I didn't like the third brake light. It didn't fit well. I think part of the leak on the headliner was because of it. So I got a original GM one. And so I'm gonna replace that, and I'll show you guys the bulbs. We're gonna use some different bulbs in this before we put it back in, but I wanna get the top cleaned up a little bit. So I'll show you, that'll be the next thing you guys see, is me showing you the bulbs that we're gonna go back together with after I get the top done. And then we'll go inside and see if we may be able to hear some of this. I don't know how good it's gonna come across on camera, but we'll give it a shot. For lights, guys, I've got a set of Lasfits, and I'll list these below too. These are, I don't even remember what they are. L15s or something. It's what's supposed to go in these. So I tried these in the past and I never had any luck with them. So ultimately I decided to try something different. These are the cargo lights. And the cool thing about these lights up here, one thing guys, I generally don't love LEDs in my tail lights, but up here, this light gets so hot that it's a good idea to have LEDs. Now these are the cargo lights. So they're the clears, and see if we can get them pushed in. I've got the top setting with some wax on it or some sealant. Don't ask me why I put sealant on bad paint, but I do. So you got those in there, and we're gonna put those throughout this entire mix. These here, you don't have to take this thing apart to, or you're not supposed to. I guess I'm gonna have to. So there's a couple clips here that release this. Probably should have just done that to begin with. May have to push the clip out of the back here. See if I can. Sometimes you get lucky and it comes apart. Should have just done them all at once, I guess. We'll just take this thing out. One clip holding me up back here. Come on, baby. There we go. Just easier to do it like this anyway, I suppose. So these screw in. If they weren't so big, you could get them out without doing this, but just go ahead and put it back. All right, now we can go ahead and plug all our bulbs in, and then we'll give it a test before we actually screw it into place. I like to let that sealant I'm using, it's just some cheaper graphene sealant. I like to let it set for like 10-15 minutes, then we'll wipe it off, put this back together, and give it a shot. I may actually, guys, leave it unplugged. That way we can try it without having to pull that back apart and possibly snapping it. I mean, it's new, so it shouldn't snap, but there we go. As a matter of fact, let's just do it now. Let's plug it in and see if it works. Is it in there or anything? Just let it kind of hang down here on the back, and then I can maybe see it at the same time. Hopefully you guys can see that. I think you can. Yeah. All right, we'll try the cargo lights first. My battery's not hooked up. Let me hook the battery up and then we'll try it. Try the cargo lights first. So those work. What about the brake lights? Oh yeah, perfect. Okay guys, so now all we need to do is wipe the top off and get that third brake light in. Let's take a look at it through the lens now. Oh yeah. Cargoes. That'll be way brighter at night. Definitely looking good. All right, let's get in this thing. Listen, see if we can show you guys what the stereo sounds like. Phone's in. You may be able to tell, but we are listening to it for the kind of the first time, and sub fits nice there. Wish we had a little better music options, but look, copyright free, guys. Anyway, you know, it works, and you know, is it gonna set the world on fire? No. But I'm actually a little more impressed with it in this truck than I was in the crew cab. You know, when I originally, I wanted to try this because nobody had any fair comparison between that and the JL. And look, the JL smokes it. It's not even comparable. It is a great sub, and it actually gets a little lower and does way better in this truck than it did in my crew cab. But compared to the 10, what are they, T3, 10W310s or so, I don't know what all of them together are, but it's the thin W3 essentially in the green truck. I mean, of course there's two of them. There's only one here, but even when I tested them back to back in the other truck, and I didn't talk about it, but it's not even comparable. Those go lower, they're way clearer. I don't know. Like I said, I'm happy with this though, guys. And so we've came quite a ways. I know I kind of cut you guys short in that last video, but we got all the subs wired. We got the interior all cleaned up. I still got to put my floor mats back in there. They're kind of off as far as color goes, and they always have been. I may go ahead and spray those with a little bit of this stuff that we used on the carpet here, the SEM paint. I will tell you guys, it's really tough to find. I happened to nab one more can, but it was the last one I could find. And my supplier, he has no more. And he said, I can't get any more right now. So either way, but we came a long way. We got the third brake light back in. We, of course, got the truck all back together. And guys, I'm happy. Just another thing knocked off the list. So anyway, like I said, in the next video, you guys are gonna see me run the wire, or the, I guess, RCA type wires back to the back, but you're also going to see why we're doing that. So I'm going to try to bring you along for what we're going to do, but you guys will just have to stay tuned to check that video out. But if you guys did enjoy this video, please, like always, smash that thumbs up button. Guys, if you are not subscribed, you got to get subscribed. We got more stuff coming on this, the Trans Am, the 55, we got all kinds of stuff. The OBS maybe. I mean, the OBS is going to come eventually, but we got a lot of stuff coming, so stay tuned to see what we work on next.